Labor force in the United States. The labor force is the actual number of people available for work and is the sum of the employed or the unemployed. The US labor reached a high of 164.6 million persons in February 2020, just at the start of the COVID-19 pandemic. The United States before the pandemic, the US labor force had risen each year since 1960, with the exception of the period following the Great Recession, when it remained below 2008 level from 2009 to 2011. In 2021, the Great Registration resulted in record number in billionaire turnover for American workers. The labor force participation rate (LFPR) is the ratio between the labor and the overall size of their cohort. Much as in other countries in the West, the labor force participation rate in the US increased significantly during the latter half of the 20th century, largely because of women entering the workplace is increasing numbers. Labor force participation has declined steadily since 2000, primarily because of the gaining and retirement of the baby boom generation. Analyzing labor force participation trend in the prime working age cohort, people separate the impact of the gaining population from demographic factor and government policies. The congressional budget office explained in 2018 that higher education attainment is correlated with higher labor force participation for workers aged 25 to 54. Primary men trend to be out of the labor force because of disability, with a key reason for women is crying for family members. Definition: the Bureau of Labor Statistics defined the labor force as include a person 16 years of age and other residing in the 50 state and the District of Columbia who are inmates of institution and who are not on attractive duty in the armed force. Generation and the US labor women in the United States. There were three significant stages of human increased participation in the labor force during the late 19th century age through the 1920s. Very new women were employed. Working women were often young. Single women were typically withdraw from labor force at the marriage unless their family needed two incomes. Their women worked primarily in the textile manufacturing industry or as domestic workers. This professional employed work and allowed them to earn a living wage at time. They were a financial help to their families. Between 1930 and 1950, female labor force participation increased primarily due to the increased demand for office worker. Women's participating in the high school movement and electrification, which reduced the time spent on household chores. In 1950s to the 1970s, most women were secondary on working mainly as secretaries, teachers, nurses, and librarians. Starting from 1960, the world and the US witnessed a significant increase in female LEFP in the labor market, especially in developed countries such as Europe and the US. The main reason leading to this increase could be higher real wage, the decline in reservation wage, change in attitude and policies. According to Congressional Research Service, the gap between women and men has been smaller since 1979. The cumulative percent charge in real wage for women was increased by 9.6%, while men decreased by 7 to negative 7.7%. However, with the incredible increase, women's real wage was still lower than men's. Different starting point could explain this. In 1979, women had more options and opportunities to earn a higher degree than a high school diploma. Also, according to the research, only men with baccalaureate degrees or higher would have a higher actual earning than women. Claudia Golden and others especially points out that by the mid 1930, there was a period of revolution of women in the labor force, brought on by different factors. Women more accurately planned for their future in the workforce, choosing more applicable measures in the challenge that prepared them to enter and compete in the labor market. In the United States, the labor force participation rate rose from approximately 59% in 1948 to 66% in 2005, with participation among women rising from 32% to 59% and participation among men declining from 87% to 73%. A common theory in modern economies claims that the rise of women participating in US labor force in the late 1960s was due to introduction of a new contraceptive technology, birth control pills, and the adjustment of age of majority laws. The use of birth gave women the flexibility of operative to adjust, to invest and advance their career with maintaining a relationship by having control over the timing of their fertility. They were not running a risk of during work career choosing. However, only 40% of the population actually use the birth control pill. This implies that other factor may have contributed to women choosing to invest in advancing their careers. Another factor that may contributed to the trend was the Equal Pay Act to 1963, which aimed at improving wage disparately based on sex. Such legislation diminished sexual discrimination and incurred more than